Next, please. I quit my job 4.5 years ago, and that was when everything really changed. I always felt my whole life that I am meant for something bigger. I started to research the law of attraction. I started to research quantum physics, how the world works, how the universe works. The cash flow I was making from the YouTube channel and my trading and my investments really started to grow like really fast.
Do you use a Bugatti Veyron as your daily?
Nothing is going to change overnight. Some people think so and then they give up. I never want people to like exactly copy my steps, because everything has to happen with your passion and with your identity. I don't know anyone who sold everything at the top. It doesn't happen. Like, no one does that. If you did that, then you were lucky. Some investments absolutely went completely crazy. I made few investments where I made like 500x. I was a cashier. I was stacking shelves, you know, like the normal stuff, a 9 to 5 kind of thing. So I lost motivation and I stopped going to school. I dropped out. Then I had a bad period of my life where I was just doing bad things, like nothing good.
What were some of the steps in terms of getting the money right so that you could go from $1,500 a month to where you're at now?
Everyone in crypto, they copy everything I do. I knew that if I just like start something, universe is on my side now. I think it's very important to take profits.
Quick one before we jump into this podcast. Do me a solid favor, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment below this video. If you're
offices I've ever seen in Dubai, a bit of an insight.
But I can also go back, like way back, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago when I was in school and I dropped out because I couldn't manage school. I had too much ADHD, too much concentration issues.
Yeah,
it's very hard to concentrate on normal, boring tasks when you have ADHD. So school, I couldn't do it. And it also made it worse, the fact that I just didn't care about school. Like, I didn't understand why I need those grades, you know, A, B, whatever. You know, like, I don't care. Like, I don't see how that helps me in my life. I thought making money is what you need. You know, you need to make money and like have a decent living, but getting a bunch of like letters on a paper. So I lost motivation and I stopped going to school. I dropped out. And then I had a bad period of my life where I was just doing bad things, like nothing good at all. And I was depressed. I was even like, you know, drinking alcohol, not more than like most people, but just partying, doing some like even sometimes some drugs, you know, with bad people. You know, I had like a bad network of people that were like lazy people that didn't want to do anything, that were just partying and doing these different like things. And I was just like kind of depressed and felt like I didn't know where to go, what to do. I didn't have a job, I didn't have an education, and my parents always had huge pressure on me, because when I was very young, they always saw potential, they say. Like, they always, because I was always very good at math, I was always very good at like sports and things. Like, my parents always told me, like, whatever I did, I always did it very well. So they had high hopes that I would do something very well. So it was a huge disappointment for them when I dropped out, did nothing.
Did you feel that pressure when you were a child of like expectation from parents and stuff like that?
Well, when I was very young, yes, but also I had pressure on myself, so I didn't feel bad. When I felt bad was when I started to realize that I'm not doing anything with my life. 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, somewhere there, when I realized, like, you know, yeah, what am I going to do? Like, I need some kind of idea for my life. But I didn't. And then they were just very disappointed and they were very anxious about what I was doing. And I just had a very bad period of my life, you know?
So what kind of sparked you changing? I suppose it was more frustration than anything else. You kind of must have felt to the point where you're like, well, do you know what? I really have to turn this around, or...
Yeah, so I was actually living with my parents back then. So yeah, before the supermarket, I was living with my parents, and then they forced me to go to the supermarket. They said basically like, Carl, you have to do something. You have to go get a job. And I basically forced myself to go and get this job because I knew that I need to do something, because otherwise like I'll be homeless. Like I need an income. I cannot live with my parents my whole life, you know. So I started the supermarket job, which was a pretty good turning point, because it made me feel a little bit better, because now at least I had some kind of routine. I went to the job. I had some friends at the grocery store. I was a cashier. I was stacking shelves, you know, like the normal stuff, a 9 to 5 kind of thing. Made $1,500 a month. But actually, this period of my life, um, I felt a little bit better because I at least had some income and I at least had something. But the problem was that after like 1.5 years in the supermarket, again this like anxiety started to come back. Like what am I doing with my life? Like supermarket, like that. This is not what I was meant to do. Like I always felt my whole life that I am meant for something bigger. I always felt like I have the potential. So my parents saw it, yes, but like I actually felt it myself always. Like even when I was a very, very young kid, I always told myself and all my friends, like, I'm going to be rich before 30. Like, I don't know how, but I'm going to be rich before 30. And I always had this feeling that I can do something big and something cool. But in the supermarket there, I realized that this is not cool. Like, I started to get that pressure again. And I got super afraid of the idea of staying in the supermarket for decades because I had no education. Like I didn't know what else can I do. Like supermarket, that's all I'm good for right now, you know. But then at some point there, that's when I really like started to realize that it's up to me. Like I had to do something. So I started to research online for ways to change my life. I started searching for like you know mindset tips, entrepreneurial tips, how to make money online. I was searching for these things, and I started to research the law of attraction. I started to research quantum physics, how the world works, how the universe works, um, and I mean, long story short, I kind of realized that this is my way out. I can use the law of attraction and attract my dream reality. And yes, long story short, that's like the background info, and then we can get into the whole law of attraction stuff as well.
Well, I think obviously the law of attraction is something that everyone that listens to this podcast and everyone out there has heard of. The one thing that I've noticed with the law of attraction that people kind of seem to miss is the action that needs to take place in order for you to close the gap between what you imagine as your reality and the reality that you want. Am I right in saying that from your perspective? Is that kind of what you realized?
So, first of all,
All right.
it's not about attracting what you want. The law of attraction, it's all about attracting what you are. And that's what's important to change your whole being. You have to change your mindset, you have to change your energy, your thoughts, your words, because everything you say and think and feel, that is what you are, and that is what you will attract more of. So if you fill your brain and fill your thoughts with negative thoughts and thoughts of lack, thoughts of not being enough, thoughts of everyone hating you, or thoughts of like negative things, you will attract more of that. So it's very important to first of all reprogramming. You have to reprogram your whole soul, like the whole being, because your energy that you hold inside of you, that's basically your magnet that's gonna attract more. So it's not about attracting what you want; it's about attracting what you are. So I started to use that. Even though I was in the supermarket, I had no education and I felt really like bad and poor, and I just felt back then I didn't feel like I was doing what I was supposed to be. But I changed everything and I started to act as if I was successful. I started to pretend sometimes that I was rich. I started to just imagine and pretend and try to imagine how I would feel if I had something specific. So, for example, this watch is a good example. I was a big fan of Jacob and Co. This is the Jacob and Co. watch, and back then I was consuming a lot of content from rich people. So, producer Michael, Jon Olsen, Manny Koshbin, and then also like a bunch of other people, like rich people that made content about their expensive stuff.
Yep.
Because that made me very motivated, because I realized, okay, I could live like this. And I started to visualize and act like I had those things. So, for example, Jacob and Co. I actually shout out to producer Michael, because I saw some of his videos like 4 or 5 years ago when I was in the supermarket, and he bought one of these watches, an Astronomia. Such a beautiful watch. It's like a really incredible watch. And I started to visualize myself having such a watch. So sometimes even sitting, waiting for the train or for the bus, or sitting on the balcony at home, I was just sitting like this, and I imagined, pretended I had one, and how I would feel. It's actually very easy to imagine and pretend. Like it's. I mean, our brains are very good at imagining things. I mean, you can dream things. You can think of things like. Every single thing that ever was created started in someone's brain. Anyways, like this water bottle, like someone had the idea to create it at some point. There must have been a thought. So you can use those thoughts to attract, and that's what I did. So this is like a physical representation of my law of attraction power and law of attraction journey, because 4 or 5 years ago I visualized it, and now I have it. And it's a very expensive watch. So back then it was like a really like an impossible thing.
So what would that be in cost right now?
Well, if you go to the store and want to buy it retail from the store and customize it like I did, then I think they charge $900,000 for that approximately.
So 900,000 US for what you've got on right now.
Yeah. I was able to convince them to not charge me for making the custom piece, but I paid almost the full price.
Yeah. And I think the reason why you could negotiate on the custom piece was because you did a YouTube video on it, which gave them exposure in the marketplace, right? So
basically, like to customize is like $100,000 or $150,000, and I told them like, look, let's make this together. Let's waive the 150, and first of all, I will wear it daily because I use my stuff. I like to use my stuff, and I know that people in the crypto market will want to buy it because I have it, because that's always the case. Everyone in crypto, they copy everything I do. It's very funny. But so I was able to negotiate it was still very expensive. Like it was still like, very, very expensive, hundreds and hundreds of thousands, but incredible watch. I love it.
I just want to step it back one second and really dive into, obviously, you're in the supermarket, you're imagining this alternate reality that you're now visually living in your reality now, and everything and all the abundance you live in. But what were some of the steps in terms of getting the money right so that you could go from $1,500 US a month to now where you're at now? There's a lot of gaps in between that kind of happen. What was like the first kind of few steps so that people can say, okay, well, I can kind of visualize that for myself, so I can visualize myself out of the $1,500 a job a month to where you went next? Where did you go next?
Okay, so I started visualizing. I started acting as if I was successful, but obviously overnight nothing happens. I was still in the supermarket. I was still same. Nothing is gonna change overnight. Some people think so, and then they give up.
Oh ja.
Ja, moet je voorzichtig zijn.
Ja, doe ik ook.
Even 5 weeks later, 2-3 months later, nothing major changed in my life. However, many big things internally changed, because I started to feel more happy. I started to feel more motivated. I started to feel hopeful that things will change. And that's actually very important with law of attraction. You have to also believe it. You have to really believe in yourself and have faith that it's gonna happen.
It's embodiment, essentially, is what you're saying. You've got to embody every part of it, haven't you?
Yeah, it's actually, if you go to all of the holy scriptures, the Bible and other religious scriptures, they all say the same thing as well. It's all about faith. You have to believe and you will receive. It's like, it's a very, it's like oldest time, you know. It's not something I'm making up. It's not an opinion. It's like, it's a law of nature. It's a law of reality. It's, call it God, universe, whatever you want to call it. But this, there's this positive force out there, whether if you want to call it God or the universe or
whatever name
source,
you want to give it, doesn't
it's
matter.
there,
Yeah,
it's everywhere. It's within us and it's outside. It is everything. It's reality. It's like it's part of the fabric of the reality. And this energy wants to help us. It wants to allow us to have our best life, but it's our decision. It's always our decision. It's not going to happen to us. It's going to happen through us and with us and by us. So we have to allow the source of energy to help us. But as soon as you allow it to help you, then it really can change everything. And that's what happened to me. So I went from supermarkets to where I am today, you know, in just a few years. And I'll tell you the steps. So, of course, I don't want to say that my steps should be someone else's steps, because it's all individual. You know, this was my journey. Doesn't mean that it should be someone else's journey. That's why I never want people to, like, exactly copy my steps, because everything has to happen with your passion and with your identity, you know. So basically, I changed everything, and then I started to look for opportunities. I started to look for ideas to do something, you know, because I knew that if I just like start something, the universe is gonna help me, you know, like the universe is on my side now. And I started a drop shipping business. I don't know if you know,
Yep.
but it's like, you know, you buy or you basically ship products over the world from customers or to customers from different countries. It's like a big online business that many people do. And I thought I'm gonna try to sell T-shirts with like cute cats on it or whatever, like these like standard things that people buy and sell online. I just didn't understand by then that I was late to the party. Like people already, it was a saturated market. But the nice thing with me starting that was that I at least got started, and that's the most important thing. Most people never get started. And I failed that business. I started another business with Amazon FBA. Actually, I never even started because I failed before I started, or I gave up a little bit because I didn't feel passionate about it. But both of these two business ideas, drop shipping with what's the name of this website?
Alibaba.
Yeah, AliExpress, these kind of things, you know. This and Amazon FBA, all of these business ideas, they gave me later the idea of starting a YouTube channel and talk about crypto, because simultaneously as I did these business ideas, I heard about Bitcoin and crypto, and then I thought maybe I'll make a YouTube channel and I'll talk about crypto, and I can maybe sell products there, like crypto products, and make money from that. That's how the idea of my first YouTube channel called The Moon came about. So just to make people understand here, my two first business ideas, they failed. But if I didn't do them, I would have never had the idea to start the YouTube channel that then made me the money. And the whole crypto industry, like everything, it kind of led into that. And then, so I don't want people to be afraid of starting something. It's very important to allow the universe to help you, but you have to also like make the first move. You have to like, you take one step out and then the universe comes and meets you halfway. That's how I usually feel, and that's how I phrase it. So starting anything, and the very simple act of starting itself is a very powerful move, because it means you believe in yourself and you believe in your future. Starting is a very big energetic move, and giving up is the exact opposite. It is a very energetic move, but on the contrary, it's like a negative energetic move, because now if you give up, that's a big a sign of doubt. You gave up. You don't believe anymore. No faith. Done. You just cut all your opportunities away. Everything that might have been ready to come to you, it's now not going to happen. So giving up is the only option, which can never happen.
But the thing is, you had to give up two things that weren't right for you in order to find the thing that was right for you. So how can they differentiate what they should truly give up and what they should truly continue down the path with?
Well, that's a great question. It's true. I gave up on the dropshipping business. I guess it was mainly because, first of all, I was not able to make it profitable. I also didn't really enjoy it too much. I was putting in many hours without like feeling that it was fun, and I realized that in this business, specifically, I was chasing money more than my passion. So I learned that I need to do something that makes me happy, something that feels effortless. Just going back a little bit, when I made the decision to change my life and my mindset and everything, and visualize, I started visualizing millions of dollars and private jets and everything, but I still didn't know that Bitcoin existed. I had no clue about crypto. Crypto came like maybe 6 months or even 1 year later or something like this, I think. And then I started to research about Bitcoin, crypto, and eventually I think there was like a couple of weeks there when I gave up a little bit and I just didn't know what to do. But I didn't give up on the energy. I gave up physically on the things, yes, but I didn't give up on I'm going to make it, like I'm going to be successful. I think that's the last thing you can ever give up. That can never happen, You can give up a business idea, yes, because some things just don't work out. And you should never force something that doesn't feel right. But the fact that I was going to make millions and become this extraordinary person, that was never, ever something I gave up. I could never give that up. The day you give something like that up, that's the moment you die. Like you might as well go and I don't know, do something else.
So essentially, what you're saying there then is you kept the energy that you were going to be this powerful, multi-millionaire that could buy all the things that he so desired and everything that in his vision. You kept that right the way through. But what you gave up was the methods that didn't suit you getting to that goal.
Yep.
Along the journey, and that's kind of the piece that a lot of people miss. They're not willing up to, they won't be honest with themselves enough to say, okay, this method isn't the one. I don't have to give up the main vision, but this method isn't going to take me to where I'm going to be in the main vision.
Yeah. It's very important to be flexible on changing your ideas, and if you are aligned with the universe, you will feel it because it will feel right. It will feel effortlessly. It will feel fun. Just like when you're a kid and you're building Lego houses or building sand castles, you don't feel like you're working because if it felt like that, you would not be doing it. As a kid, you only do things based on creativity and flow. It's flow state. And that's how it should feel when you build business, when you do cool things, it should you should be aligned and never force something that doesn't feel right, because then I think there's something else that is waiting for you.
So how long was it from when you started the YouTube channel, which is obviously your right thing to do, where you're talking about crypto? How long was it from that point where you got into the right vehicle before you got to your first million?
Okay, first I want to show you an image that I didn't even show it yet on my socials because I found it just a few days ago. It's a very interesting image.
Show it to your camera there.
Yeah. So this is the image, and I guess we can put it up later somehow.
Can I see it?
Yeah, if you look.
Wow.
So this is
describe this moment to me.
So basically, this was the time when I was trying these drop shipping things. I even thought maybe I can sell mugs or whatever. But at some point I thought, you know what? Let me use one of my own little techniques. Like, let me do something fun. So I ordered a mug online, and I literally went in, and it was a white mug, and I in this program put the YouTube logo, and I also put 100,000 subscribers. I typed it out and put it on the logo. And if you look at the date when I took this photo, it was 26th of April, 2017.
Wow.
And that was 6 months before I created my YouTube channel.
That's mental.
Yeah.
That is mental.
Yeah, so that's, yeah. That was way
Uh,
before I don't even know if I knew about Bitcoin at this very moment. I just had this idea. I want to have a YouTube channel. Because I always enjoyed consuming YouTube videos. So I didn't have any I didn't know how to start it, why to start it, or
So the pieces hadn't landed for you yet. You just
Nothing.
you knew you wanted the channel,
yeah,
but you didn't know what the channel topic was going to be about, how that was going to manifest into reality from your sense. But you just knew that there was something in this YouTube game.
exactly.
And going back to the original one. So when you started YouTube and you started to go along this right path, how long was it from there until you achieved the kind of first bit of financial freedom, so to speak, so that you could then spend your full time on that and you didn't have to go in the supermarket anymore?
Okay, so when I started my crypto channel, and at this time I was learning myself, and one of the reasons to create the channel was also to teach people about crypto, because teaching usually is the best way to learn yourself. Because if you teach something, you need to fully understand it. So it pushed me to understand. So I researched every day about crypto, Bitcoin, and started learning about investments and trading and everything. So I had so much fun with the channel because I was basically showing things that I was learning myself. And people enjoyed it, and it grew very fast. In the beginning, I started getting very good views immediately, and I kind of felt immediately like, wow, like this feels good, like this feels like something, going back to that, I felt like it was easy and fun, because I enjoyed making those videos and uploading them and seeing the comments. I have so many cool people, they say nice things and everything, so it made me feel good. And but I didn't make any money in the beginning, and also the funny thing is I had so much fun making the videos of themselves that I forgot about this whole selling t-shirts things. I didn't sell any t-shirt on my channel to this day, even though that was one of the main reasons to create the channel. The reason is because I just had so much fun making the videos that I forgot about making money. It was only 6 months later, or a few months later, that I turned on the YouTube ads, because you need thousands of watch hours.
4,000 watch hours, yeah.
Something like this, yeah. So when I turned that on, from one day to the other, I started making $3,000 a month only from YouTube ads. And that was double what I made from the grocery store. So that was the day I realized that, okay, now everything will change. Because I could literally go to the store tomorrow and quit my job, which I didn't, by the way, which I can talk more about. But I just thought, wow, I make, let's say it was ranging from like $2,000, $3,000 a month. And I was so happy. I was like, wow, this is crazy. Now I'm making money on myself, like a proper, it's a proper business, making content is a business, and I was making money from it. But I still didn't make crazy money. I only made this. So I made $1,500 from my grocery store, $3,000 on my YouTube channel. And simultaneously, I was also making my investments, of course. I was investing and trading, and these
into Bitcoin and Ethereum, yeah?
Bitcoin, Ethereum, and also the different altcoins. I was going into a bunch of altcoins, and I started to essentially learn more about investments and trading. And the little capital I had, I started to invest it and try to make more money, which I did. And long story short, I started getting much more views, many more fans, because people just really liked watching my videos on the Moon channel. My portfolio grew, my trading profits, my investments grew. I also made some good sponsorships, affiliate deals with different exchanges and companies. Over time, the cash flow I was making from the YouTube channel and my trading and my investments, it really started to grow really fast during 2000, I would say 20, to 20 and 21.
I think 2020 is when you really started to take off.
2020 and 2021. Yeah, that's pretty much the story, and the rest is kind of history. I grew very fast in the bull market. The channel absolutely exploded. All of the crypto I accumulated absolutely exploded. All of my investments. I mean, some investments absolutely went completely crazy. I made few investments where I made like 500x. You know, I invested in companies. You
In
know,
this video,
early stage companies.
400.
Exactly, more than 400.
Yeah.
I think by now it's probably like 450. No, not 450, but 430, 440. It's because I'm starting now again since 2 months to start going aggressive again. So I did like 10 investments just in the past like 2 weeks.
So in the bull runs, you're making content, and in the bear markets, you're looking to position yourself in investments that make sense for the next bull run, essentially.
Exactly. Yeah, the investments are done in the bear market. Profit taking happens in the bull market. That's very important to take note of that.
Just because I think this would be really useful to a lot of people, whether they've got shares, whether they've got crypto, whatever they're trading. How much percentage-wise are you taking off the table in what they term as a bull run at each stage? Do you have a set kind of parameters?
I don't have a set criteria, but I think it's very important to take profits.
Yeah.
If you make life-changing money, take profits.
I got smacked hard because of that exact thing. You know.
Yeah.
I rode it all the way up from like 18 grand and got caught massively on the back end of that.
Yeah. No, but all of us, like, look, I'm not perfect. I could have taken way more profits. I lost insane amounts of money in the past year because of the portfolio going down. It's everyone did. Like, I don't know anyone who sold everything at the top. It doesn't happen. Like, no one does that. If you did that, then you were lucky. Like, you cannot time the top perfectly, but at least you can take some profits. You can sell 10%, 20%, even 50%. Why not?
I read on that topic specifically that you lost 100 million off the top line value of companies that you had invested in one day or something.
Not in one day, no, but like over some time, yeah.
Yeah, which is phenomenal when you think about it. But one of the other strategies I was reading about was the strategy of how you invest your money, and you never take from the principal. You only spend the accrued revenue from that. Can you break that down, that model for me, and how people can implement that? I think that'd be really useful. Because you were saying that if you invest the 10, you don't spend any part of the 10. You never spend any part of the initial investment. You always only spend the money it generates.
I never spend from the principal. I only spend from the cash flow. So that's true. If I were to spend from principal, it's only if it's like literally like a very solid investment. Like it's an investment or like salaries. Like it has to be like a business idea where the purpose is to make more. But if I go spend, let's say I want to buy a watch or I want to buy a car or something, I would only buy with my profits I made that month, for example. I would never like go back and take from my savings. That's very important. So I never took from my savings to buy something.
When you buy the watch and when you buy the Bugatti that you bought, phenomenal car, I suppose in your position you're able to write that off as some as like and generate money against it for marketing as well. I suppose these things have generated you money, have they? Rather than costing you money. Because essentially you made a YouTube video on the watch, you made a YouTube video on the car. I presume, I don't suppose they've made as much as what the watch or the car cost, but they do somehow offset the cost of you purchasing the good, right?
Maybe the watch, because this watch doesn't cost me anything on the monthly basis. It's very hard to quantify this. Like, I don't know. It's tough. But the Bugatti, for sure, I didn't make any money on it. It's a huge cash heavy asset. It costs a lot of money every single month. I would highly advise not to buy a Bugatti Veyron.
But why did you buy a Bugatti Veyron? Because of that. Because I just when are you ever going to get time to drive a Bugatti Veyron? Because you always working.
Well, almost every day I take it to the office. If I go to restaurants, usually I take it. So I use it, I would say, almost every day.
So you use a Bugatti Veyron as your daily?
Let's say every other day then.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And was that something as well that when you were back in the day visioning your future, you envisioned as well?
Yeah. So this goes way back in 2006 or 7 when the Bugatti Veyron was announced by Bugatti. even back then when I was a young kid, I knew that this is the ultimate car. Like this is the one and only. Like this is the most like successful people in the world. They have this car. And one time I went to the south of France with my family, and I saw this car there. You know, I just thought like, wow, this is incredible. Like imagine the people that have this kind of car. Had a dream ever since I was a little kid to have a Bugatti Veyron, Grand Sport, the convertible version, and ever since then, it's been the only car I really want, you know. So the time when I felt, look, I could just easily go buy it now. Like on a monthly basis, I make more than I could just go like, you know, go buy it. So I thought, why don't I just go buy it then? Like it's my childhood dream. Usually I don't buy many things. I buy few things, but very nice things. Things I really want, or really like, or really need. It was tough for me to justify the Bugatti in first, because I was like, I don't need it. It's it's an expensive car. It's like I don't need it. But again, I just thought it's my dream car. It's like it's the number one car in the whole world. Like let me just go buy it, you know. So I just went and bought it.
Yeah, because otherwise you're putting an energetic block on yourself on what's truly possible with your own mind, which is against everything that you've said throughout this podcast. Obviously, I'm conscious of time, and I know we've got to wrap it up, because obviously you've got a meeting and stuff, and I'd like to do a longer episode with you at some point, because I just wanted to get as much powerful information as this for the people that are listening right now as possible. But the last question I want to ask you, if you had to check out the world and you've got to leave the watch, you've got to leave the car, everything behind the office, the staff, the investments, everything, but you could just leave one piece of golden wisdom that you think can move everyone in this audience further forward in their life, what would that piece of information you leave be?
Use the law of attraction, because it can change your life very fast if you allow it to do so. If you allow it.
And is there any place that you suggest that people go for a reputable look of where to best learn the art of what you're talking about?
I mean, I read many things, I watched many videos, but actually my YouTube channel, Carl Runefeld, I created it to inspire people and to explain how the law of attraction works. So some people think that I made this channel to just show off. And I am showing off, but I am doing it for a very specific reason, you know. Just like I was consuming this content from other people, I was watching these successful people, rich people showing their expensive watches and cars. I enjoyed watching that content when I was back in the grocery store. So now I want to give back. I want to make, my idea was to create a YouTube channel based on what I wanted to watch myself back then, and I want to make it even better. I want to show how my life is now. I want to show all of my expensive things, and more importantly, I want to explain to people how they can also achieve these things. And maybe some people don't care about watches, but if they want to have something else, it's the same. It's just physical things. It's just material things. Like it's all the same. It's just energy. So it applies to literally anything. And my YouTube channel is really meant to inspire, and on my Instagram as well. So if people want to follow me there and just get inspired, that's my most important mission right now. And of course, some people are always going to be like, "Oh, Carl, you're just showing off all the time, blah blah blah," you know. But they don't have to watch my videos, and I didn't make those videos for them anyways. So
you're just making it because it's all part of your vision. And no one that hates on you at any level of the game is ever, you know, it's obvious that they're not any further forward than you.
Yeah, it's so funny. Look, especially on, like, you know, Twitter, I see like these like haters, blah blah blah. But if you go and check their profiles, they always have they have 20 followers. They have anonymous pictures. Like they are literally like nobodies. They're just jealous and they're sad. And I feel bad for them, because the fact that they are sending these messages online
blocks their growth.
Yeah, it proves that, it blocks them. It puts them in a box, and it's just a bad energy. And that's why I never reply to these people, and I never give them attention, because if I give them attention, then it It's just, bad energy, negative energy. I want to focus on people that enjoy what I do and enjoy the message that I spread, because those are the people that can actually also, listen and change their life. Because those like haters on Twitter, they will never ever take my advice seriously. It is really their loss. I speak to the people that want to hear this. I speak to the people that want to change their life, and to those people, I'm super happy to help out. I answer comments every single day on my YouTube channel and on Instagram. When people ask me about law of attraction, about things, I try to reply to as many as possible. Even sometimes on my Instagram DMs, I get people saying like, "Oh, hey, Carl, you changed my life." And sometimes I message back like, "Well, it's just hard." I don't have time to sit hours every day, of course, but I just give them a little bit, just something, because it's the least I can do. And giving attention to these people, it's really good for them and for me and for I think humanity. Like if all of us always only focus on positive things and focus on making things better for each other, then I think the world would just be a better place. So people should stop spreading negativity online. Literally yesterday I saw a video of like a girl online that she made some like face filter, and then she took the filter off, and then the first comment was like, "Oh, put the filter back on, you're so ugly." And I was like, who makes this comment? And even crazier, it had 600 likes. Like
yeah, and that's exactly what you're talking about, because every one of those people that like the comment, and the person who wrote the comment, you've all just told the universe essentially that you're not worthy of the next level up yourself, and you just put an energetic block between you and what you want. So you get far more in life by being positive towards each other.
Yeah, it's such a sad thing that online people are so hateful like this, because this lady doesn't deserve that. She didn't do anything wrong to anyone. And I even replied and said like, "This is such a sick comment, so stupid," something like this, because I had to say something. I think it was so stupid.
Yeah, and that comes down to the moral compass as well. But I just want to say thank you so much for your time. Guys, do me a solid favor. This one's a short one, but I wanted to get a short, powerful one out with Carl while we have time, and I'm hopefully going to follow it up with a longer one with Carl, where we dive deeper into business and all the other stuff that I want to dive in with him. But I wanted to keep this powerful and actionable so that you can implement some of these strategies in your life today. Move yourself forward 1%, and keep moving forward at that pace too. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and much love.
Guys, do me a solid favor.
Crazy. Just waiting for FOMC now. Look at this. Just remove all of this. Could just leave that there. Leave it there as well. Move this. Move this. We'll just wait for FOMC now. So singular crochet gap, buy side, low resistance liquidity, but I don't expect this to hit because I want to see ES take out these highs today, probably, and maybe create an SMT here with this low. so yellow here. It's better. Alright, so it looks like we're gonna take these equal lows out here. Livery isn't that bad. We're still holding this 8-minute Roy gap, CB. And also inverse this here in 5 minutes for a 5-minute busy CB. Tap inside of that CB here, and then turtle soup that basically. It's not bad, but it is bad because look at this, and it's almost FOMC, so we're just waiting now. So let's make that. Let's make this bigger.
You delete it.
Pro. Alright. So 10 minutes for FOMC to raise. To check if the video is alright. Bit more gamma. You know, something like that. All right. So yeah, what I would expect for FOMC to do is have equal lows here on NQ, equal lows there on NQ. So what I think is FOMC wants to go lower, bring us lower here, inside of that BISI and on NQ, and then tap us higher inside that buy side liquidity, maybe even higher to there. I don't know. We could, but definitely this high. Definitely this high here. And on ES that would look like this. So FOMC brings us lower. Maybe we want to tap inside that BISI or no. If we don't, then we have an FOMC here, because NQ definitely is going to tap inside of there, and then ES we go higher to the equal highs there. This is basically what I want to see. See if anyone else is streaming this. Dora Trading, Caleb.
But wouldn't you have to have a limit stop order instead of a market order? For this, I can just buy this and then I'm in, and then that's when I do my limit order. Because if I do this, like, I probably won't get filled like directly on this if I do go in here and do trade.
Title looks better now. Alright, so four more minutes. Wait, title should be different actually. Alright, so title's better now. So FOMC about to release in 2 minutes. About to be released in 2 minutes. So we already took the equal lows there. Doesn't mean that we don't want to go lower, in my opinion, because we do have this lower resistance liquidity. This is just more liquidity being generated. We went up from there, but doesn't matter to me. Really want to see this get left, actually. We'll see what happens. I already told you my plan for FOMC today, so we'll see. That's my whole plan. And if something else happens, like we take out the liquidity here, it doesn't really matter because I just look where we have liquidity. On bigger time frame, FOMC won't be as big that we take out the liquidity here and the liquidity here probably. I think it would just be like where we're here right now. So this FOMC can be this big, like 150 points max, something like that. I don't know. We'll see. Don't think that will take out the lows around here. We'll see. So FOMC about to drop in a few seconds. Let's go on the 1 hour chart and see from there. 5 seconds. There it is. So going higher first. Also, I note the opening here. 2 p.m. opening. Candle open. Lock it. Could remove this volume imbalance, just a distraction right now. So first go higher. Take out the high on ES. On NQ we leave equal highs. See what else we have. Don't think that is everything. We at 2:30 we have the FOMC conference. Where is it? Here. So press conference at 2:30. So that's what we're waiting for now. So going higher. Yes, going to the equal highs, all-time highs again. Let's see if we take those on ES now. Let's look at the 1 minute candles. Pretty big candles. There it is, all-time highs on ES again. Oops, didn't want to do that. Let's go to the 2 hour again. So ES took all-time highs. NQ is going for this buy-side liquidity here. So we already have an SMT, of course. I think we do want to go higher now, because NQ wants to have this buy-side liquidity as least. Let's look at DXY. DXY dropping lower. Of course. Breaker on DXY after sweeping all-time highs. Or all-time highs, what am I saying? The equal highs here, which I had marked out. I think this would only be retracement. Where do we want to go? On the XY. Well, we have sell stops beneath here, sell stops beneath there. So first to me, we want to go here. After that, we want to go there. Also in a discount, if you take it off of this range here. Oh, not yet actually. Let's see if we have unicorn equilibrium here. Or was that on the daily or something? I don't even know where it was. Yeah, but first we need that low there. So let's leave the XY here. So let's keep looking at this. I think we do want to go higher still. Let's make this a singular for a gap. Need 2 minutes, busy there. And we still have the press conference, of course. We did tap inside of this busy here. I don't really care about this busy here. I want to see the singular busy get tapped into. See what we do. See if we take out the buy stops there. Looks like it. There it is. Still going higher on ES. Let's move this to rejection block now. Don't need that anymore. Cool highs. Let's make this all-time highs. So all-time highs there. We do have equal lows there. Sell side beneath there. See the buy side here. -2, -2 5 standard deviation. Even though it's low resistance liquidity, we already took all-time highs on ES. So we just need to see how we react off here. And then the press conference is going to give us more information. And then we do have equal lows here and equal lows there. And on ES we create a perfectly equal lows actually. So this is definitely a area which we want to revisit later. Let's remove this. And then yeah, just remove this. And low resistance liquidity there. Alright. So how will I be taking a trade here? Well, I'm not. I'm just gonna wait for FOMC press conference, and I'm gonna wait for more structure to build upon here. If you look at the candle open of this 4-hour candle, then expecting for the day to not take out this here. Maybe in the overnight session we wanna reverse and set us up for a reverse for tomorrow. But for now I actually suspect us to be going higher actually. So look at this 4-hour candle. I don't think we're gonna wick this 4-hour candle. That this here would just be a wick here, and then we would go lower. To me that looks pretty crazy. Yeah. But yeah, we'll just wait for more structure to build and wait after 2:30. Let's look at ES. So here, do you know if we're going higher or not? Looks really bullish, right? But we could just totally go through all of this here. We do have a singular busy here. So in my opinion, that's where we do want to go. Busy there. Busy here. Zoom in. 3 seconds. Yes, it's lower. Maybe a short here. Risk reward is terrible. And stop would be here then for a better risk reward, but that's just terrible in my opinion. Tap inside of it here. I'm expecting the busy here. Also in ES we did tap into it there. Alright, on ES that did work. Here, risk reward's terrible. Or terrible, it's fine actually. 1.4. But yeah. So yeah, we do have the busy there. And we'll just see what we do now. This would have been a really small scalp actually. There. But yeah, what are your chances? We could just go higher. Could be TP here. But what is saying that this is protected? You could just go higher and have these supporting resistance and breakout traders a bit in profit and then go lower. Like this will be the turtle soup break. We just spiked inside of there on the 1 minute and then we went lower. Like, doesn't really make sense to me. On here, yes, we did come above here, but it doesn't really look like it's turtle soup. We did get the displacement, but it doesn't really look like a turtle soup, because if this was a turtle soup, then we would go all the way lower, but I'm just waiting. I would say it's good to wait. See what we do with this here. Because we deliver from it busy. But yeah, we took liquidity. So let's say we go long here. That's just the same as having my stop above here. Having a buy stop above there, somewhere beneath the low, because we see this now as resistance or support. Like that would just be trading support and resistance. Like this goes against everything that ICT teaches, or like not what he, but his whole concepts are. We take the liquidity and we go the opposite direction, basically, right? Like a high, like an actual high / low where we have actual buy stops / sell stops. Does it swing high? No. or you don't like the volume of this, of course. We're waiting for FOMC press conference. That's what the big players are waiting for as well. I'll just be looking at this, but doesn't really matter. Just tape reading now. See what market is doing with this. Probably consolidate around this area again. And then I mean this to this, basically. Draw on liquidity for now. If I look at this now, then, and the XY of course as well. Let me grab the XY with this. I think we still, well, gee, looking at what the XY is doing right now. Really have no idea, actually. If I look at DXY here, and we took out sell side liquidity here, but what is DXY gonna do now? We do have a BPR here down him, probably. If this candle closes, but on the indices, took out all-time highs here, so don't really think that we actually do want to go higher because we already took the liquidity. So now we would go lower, and then on DXY we would go higher because there's sell stops beneath here, sell stops beneath here. Yes, there are buy stops beneath or above here and above there as well, but we have an SMT. We already took those on, yes. So there's no liquidity here. There's only liquidity below. So makes sense for me if we want to go lower. Of course, that doesn't mean that we go lower now, but we could just go above here to soup some highs. There doesn't really mean that we go above here and then we go all the way higher. Just I'm saying that we could turtle soup a few highs there, then go lower, but overall just pretty bearish. And now just waiting. So 2M candle opening is here. Look at this here and this here. Could be the manipulation above there. This entire move could be the manipulation. But yeah, I do want to see all those sell stops there. Big SMT. -2, -2 standard deviation. But now we just wait 12 more minutes for the conference to begin. Then of course we gotta wait after that as well. It's about an hour long, it's 2 parts. So yeah.
be riding the reversal short down into the sell side liquidity here. And then potentially looking for some high or low of the week to materialize on this day of the economic calendar. So again, just different things that I'm weighing out, but more so just using this day to get intel for the remaining portion of the week. Danny, what to expect for Euro USD this week? Danny, we've been walking Euro on a tight leash, brother, since Sunday. So if you want to look at my expectations for Euro, Pound, and Dollar, you can go ahead and take a look at what I shared on Sunday, Danny. And if you're not in the Telegram, we do send market updates there as well with regard to what we're looking for in terms of targets and overall bias. And we were dead on with dollar and foreign currency this week. But also, Danny, as I am talking about dollar, you can just flip that upside down. It's going to be the same thing for euro. Ahmed, always a pleasure being live with you. I'm glad to have you, Ahmed. Appreciate that, brother. Cobra, sold my house to go long NASDAQ. Oh, man. Not trading this? No. Yeah, probably smart. Probably smart. Cody, new here. We look at the market very similarly. LOL, you seem chill. AF, you got my sub. Appreciate you, Cody. Thanks for joining us. I'm glad we look at the markets the same. You know what they say. Great minds think alike, right? Oh, ZN's the 10-year. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'm looking at bonds. Whenever I'm intraday trading, though, I don't look at bonds as much. I just look at dollar. And dollar gives me a read on what the bond market's doing in a sense. Because if I looked at bonds as well on top of everything else, for me personally, looking at all that intraday, that would be a pretty big distraction.
Oh, yeah.
So I just look at dollar, and then that gives me the information I need on bonds. Bonds definitely looking weak though. And then the yield's definitely looking bullish. So seeing the 10-year yield trade into its fair value gap. And what do we have here? Equal highs now. So if we're going to rally on the yields, probably goes without being said, we're likely going to see the dollar rally in conjunction with the yields as well.
Love that guy.
Here earlier.
Is he still alive? Oh.
Yeah, Mike
Oh,
is
this
up.
guy's in short.
Tighten
Both
my
pairs
stop
as well.
just a little bit. Because I was expecting the sell-off to already happen. If not, I can re-enter. I mean, this is FOMC. I'm kind of just testing. This is the first FOMC I've traded, so. But I have been back testing. When Fed talks, does the chart move crazy? Yeah, Powell's going to speak in around 8 minutes, and this is when we'll get the real move. We're gonna get the real move when Jerome. I got stopped out on NQ on that wick. Again, if I had a better fill, if I actually got filled when I wanted to, I'd still be in. But that's just for me the first time ever using TradingView.
Kind of a backdrop now, and a lot of people are used to seeing funds rate up, funds rate down, crash, big problems. They're not used to seeing it. It doesn't mean it never happened. So it has happened, and looks like point for fixed income it is. Strategically, when you get to the end of the Fed rate hiking cycle, that's where you're going to be seeing the peak in interest rates. That was probably at the end of September last year. We were getting into that buy zone at the end of 2022. We remain there now. We're seeing a lot of support for the market. I think that's why the risk premiums in the market are so narrow, but they're likely to remain narrow. But I think overall, they're managing a very successful course here.
So, Robert, clearly a soft landing is your baseline. So speak a little bit to your level of confidence in that, and what do the tails look like if the Fed were to end up making a mistake, and we hope the Fed doesn't make a mistake, but if it were, what do you think the most likely mistake would be?
Right. Well, I think the data has not only bifurcated, it's trifurcated, right? So when you look at the employment, I was a little surprised that they went, unidimensional, that it's, a super employment market. I mean, the household survey has been flat for a few months. Unemployment rate has inched higher. Jobless claims at a state level have gone higher, triggering some people to wonder about whether the Somm rule is kicking in, signaling a potential recession. And of course, recessions are very hard to spot. So I think if there was going to be a problem here, you're not going to wake up one day and see data consistent with a 3.5% growth. But is it possible that we could have downshifted to 0.5% or 1%? The job growth has really dropped off here, and you've lost a little bit of momentum. I think that's the more likely side that things could break on. Having said that, they're at 5.3%. They have tightened in real terms. They've made the case they didn't really want to do that. Now they're making the case they want more information. I think if they see slower data, that would, trigger them to make some cuts, which would end up, probably preempting a recession. So the most likely mistake would be kind of a growth recession. I would think that would be the next most likely scenario there.
Priya, is there a downside to keeping inflation hotter for longer, in the idea that this is actually really problematic for particularly lower income households? As Mohammed and I were talking about before the show, that this is sort of, very much attacks on particularly people with lower income, specifically for those who are not in the market and can't capitalize on some of the gains that we see in the equity markets and could have a drag on the economy.
Sure. I think as long as the job market is fine and wages are running above inflation. So you talk about that inflation number being high. Where are wages? If wages are running 4% and inflation's at 2.5%, there's still positive real income growth. So I think as long as you have positive real income growth, that danger that you talk about is less of an issue. I do worry about the danger from, is the Fed easy for too long, or does it let the market run on this narrative of rate cuts? If inflation stays high enough, at some point,
Zoek maar. Dat zo. press conference is going now, or is live right now. Alright. Does look like we do want to go lower. This would be an 8-minute singular for a gap. Taking liquidity there. And yes, it would be also the 8 minutes. So we're holding that busy there. I do want to see lower prices actually. Do we have a CB here? No CB here. So then we look at the 1 minute. Yeah, it does look like we do want to go lower, but I don't really see a setup. Don't see a setup yet. Yeah. Could have it just marked out like this. Do want to see those equal lows there, equal lows here. I've said it many times actually. Just mark that out there. There. Alright. Only thing is we don't have an SMT here already. So there is buy side liquidity above here because these are felt swing highs. So could mark that out as equal highs. So maybe that's what the real move is gonna do or gonna be. Let's look at a live stream where Paul was speaking. Here, CNBC.
Policy restraint too soon or too much could result in a reversal of the progress we have seen on inflation, and ultimately require even tighter policy to get inflation back to 2%. At the same time, reducing policy restraint too late or too little could unduly weaken economic activity and employment. In considering any adjustments to the target range for the federal funds rate, the committee will carefully assess incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risks. The committee does not expect it will be appropriate to reduce the target range until it has gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably down toward 2%. Of course, we're committed to both sides of our dual mandate, and an unexpected weakening in the labor market could also warrant a policy response. We will continue to make our decisions meeting by meeting.
Wait, why is it so dark here?
In our SEP, FOMC participants wrote down their individual assessments of an appropriate path for the federal funds rate based on what each participant judges to be the most likely scenario going forward. If the economy evolves as projected, the median participant projects that the appropriate level of the federal funds rate will be 4.6% at the end of this year, 3.9% at the end of 2025, and 3.1% at the end of 2026, still above the median longer-term funds rate. These projections are not a committee decision or plan. If the economy does not evolve as projected, the path for policy will adjust as appropriate to foster our maximum employment and price stability goals. Turning to our balance sheet, our securities holdings have declined by nearly $1.5 trillion since the committee began reducing our portfolio. At this meeting, we discussed issues related to slowing the pace of decline in our securities holdings. While we did not make any decisions today on this, the general sense of the committee is that it will be appropriate to slow the pace of runoff fairly soon, consistent with the plans we previously issued. The decision to slow the pace of runoff does not mean that our balance sheet will ultimately shrink by less than it would otherwise, but rather allows us to approach that ultimate level more gradually. In particular, slowing the pace of runoff will help ensure a smooth transition, reducing the possibility that money markets experience stress and thereby facilitating the ongoing decline in our securities holdings, consistent with reaching the appropriate level of ample reserves. We remain committed to bringing inflation back down to our 2% goal and to keeping our longer-term inflation expectations well anchored. Restoring price stability is essential to set the stage for achieving maximum employment and price stability over the long term. To conclude, we understand that our actions affect communities, families, and businesses across the country. Everything we do is in service to our public mission. We at the Fed will do everything we can to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals. Thank you.
All right.
Steve Leisman, CNBC. Mr. Chairman, the projections show somewhat higher core inflation. They also show somewhat stronger growth. What should we infer from this notion that on average rates were kept the same this year, but inflation is higher and growth is higher? Does it mean more tolerance for higher inflation and less of a willingness to slow the economy to achieve that target?
Well, it doesn't. No, it doesn't mean that. What it means is that we've seen incoming, as I pointed out in my opening remarks, we did mark up our growth forecast, and so have many other forecasters. So the economy is performing well, and the inflation data came in a little bit higher as a separate matter, and I think that caused people to write up their inflation. But
you say that you're willing to either maintain the rate for longer. What is the tolerance of the Federal Reserve for inflation coming in above its 2% target?
We're strongly committed to bringing inflation down to 2% over time. That is our goal, and we will achieve that goal. Markets believe we will achieve that goal, and they should believe that, because that's what will happen over time. But we stress over time, and so I think we're making projections that do show that happening, and we're committed to that outcome, and we will bring it about.
Hi, Chair Powell, Rachel Siegel from the Washington Post. Thanks for taking our questions. You and others have been saying that relief on housing inflation is coming, but it still hasn't shown up meaningfully in the CPI or the PCE. Does that challenge your assumption about when the shift will finally break through, since it hasn't at that point?
So I think there's some confidence
exactly what I said.
That the
wanted to go lower, yes,
rents,
but
lower
you
market
have equal
rent
highs here.
increases that we're seeing will show up in measures.
We did
of
already
housing,
sweep them on
services
ES,
inflation
so
over time.
But I think
there's a little bit of
do want to
uncertainty
sweep them
about
again
when
on
that will
IQ.
happen, but there's real confidence that they will show up eventually.
I don't know how to
over
put
time.
this
But again,
somewhere.
about the exact timing of that.
And will you be able to get overall inflation down to
how am I
target
gonna do this?
if housing doesn't break through quickly, and does that affect the timing for eventual cuts this year?
We will get aggregate inflation down to 2% over time. We will. And I would assume that what we'll continue to see is we'll see goods prices coming into a new equilibrium where they're going down perhaps not as quickly as they had been earlier this year, where housing services inflation will come back down as current market rents are suggesting will happen, and where non-housing services will move back down. Some combination of those three things, and it may be different from the combination we had before the pandemic, will be achieved and will bring inflation back down to 2% sustainably.
Oh, nice.
Nick Timmeros of the Wall Street Journal. Chair Powell, during your congressional testimony this month, you said that your test for making the first change to interest rates does not require you to be terribly comfortable that inflation is at 2%.
Damn, that's
because
cool.
interest rates are well above neutral. At the same time, you said here after the last meeting that the first cut is highly consequential. Can you reconcile these views for me? If rates are well above neutral, why would the first cut be highly consequential? Is that because you anticipate one cut would be followed by one or two more along the lines of the recalibration you made in 2019, which itself was modeled on the mid-cycle adjustment of 1995?
It's more, I would put it more in the context of what I said in my opening remarks, that the risks are really two-sided here.
Wait, what is
We're in a
it?
situation where, if we ease too much or too soon, we could see inflation come back, and if we ease too late, we could do unnecessary harm to employment and people's working lives. And so, we do see the risks as two-sided. So it is consequential. We want to be careful. And fortunately, with the economy growing, with the labor market strong, and with inflation coming down, we can approach that question carefully and let the
Bro.
data speak on that.
Why doesn't it
That's
keep
really
it
what I
on
was
there?
thinking.
How much of that inflation you've seen so far this year do you chalk up to one-off calendar adjustment
Let's
effects
force
following
SCR.
a period of high inflation versus some change in the trend we saw in the second half of last year?
I want to start by saying I always try to be careful about dismissing data that we don't like. So you need to check yourself on that, and I'll do that. But I would say the January number, which was very high, the January CPI and PCE numbers were quite high. There's reason to think that there could be seasonal effects there. But nonetheless, we don't want to be completely dismissive of it. The February number was higher than expectations, but we have it at currently well below 30 basis points core PCE, which is not terribly high. So it's not like the January number. But I take the two of them together, and I think they haven't really changed the overall story, which is that of inflation moving down gradually on a sometimes bumpy road toward 2%. I don't think that story has changed. I also don't think that those readings added to anyone's confidence that we're moving closer to that point. But we didn't. Last thing I'll say is we didn't excessively celebrate the good inflation readings we got in the last 7 months of last year. We didn't take too much signal out of that. What you heard us saying was that we needed to see more, that we could, we wanted to be careful about that decision. And we're not going to overreact as well to these 2 months of data, nor are we going to ignore them.
Hi, yes, Chair Powell. Could you speak a little bit more about the timing?
I need to have
is there
this here.
Enough data between now and, say, May to be able to get the kind of confidence that you say that you still need, or by June, is there enough data for you? Just give us a sense of your thinking there. Thank you.
Yeah, so we make decisions meeting by meeting, and we didn't make any decisions about future meetings today. Those are going to depend on our ongoing assessment of the incoming data, the evolving outlook, and the balance of risk. So I really don't have anything for you on any specific meeting looking forward.
Whoa, what is this?
We'll take, things can happen during an intermeeting period if you look back, unexpected things. So I wouldn't want to dismiss anything. So I just would say that the committee wants to see more data that gives us higher confidence that inflation is moving down sustainably toward 2%. I also mentioned, and we don't see this in the data right now, but if there were a significant weakening in the data, particularly in the labor market, that could also be a reason for us to begin the process of reducing rates. Again, there's nothing in the data pointing at that, but those are the things that we'll be looking at coming meetings, and without trying to refer to any specific meeting.
Hi, Chris Regaver, Associated Press. Thank you. In the projections, there is an increase in the neutral rate, as you know, and higher rates, a quarter point higher rates projected in 2025, 2026. Can you speak about why might be behind that? Is there a real sense here that the economy has perhaps changed in some way, that higher rates will be needed in the future? Thank you.
So you're right, they're pretty modest changes, but you're right, there was an uptick in the longer run rate, and also there's a 25 basis point increase in 25 and 26. In terms of are rates going to be higher in the longer run, if that's really your question, I don't think we know that. I think we think that rates were generally low during the pre-pandemic, post-global financial crisis era for reasons that are mostly, important, slow-moving, large things like demographics and productivity and that sort of thing, things that don't move quickly. But I don't think we know. I mean, my instinct would be that rates will not go back down to the very low levels that we saw, where all around the world there were long-run rates that were at or below zero in some cases. I don't see rates going back down to that level, but I think there's tremendous uncertainty around that.
Great. And just a quick follow on the projections, you also have 2.6%. You also have inflation for the end of this year. It's already at, or you mentioned it being 2.8 in February. I mean, that doesn't sound like much disinflation at all. So are you Are you still confident, or inflation at all? Last press conference, you sounded pretty optimistic you would get more confidence at the end of this year. Is it right to say that this suggests you're not seeing a lot of disinflation this year compared to what we've seen 2023 and so on?
I think that higher year-end number reflects the data we've seen so far this year, because you're now in this year. Because I think that. Sorry, say your last part of your question again.
Oh, nice.
I think if you look at the SEP, what it says is that it is still likely in most people's view that we will achieve that confidence and that there will be rate cuts. But that's really going to depend on the incoming data. It is. The other thing is in the second half of.
Oh my God.
Depend on the incoming.
Whoa. Just trying to get it under. What? Why isn't it under?
And possibly.
Bro, what is this?
What? So you.
What the hell is this, bro?
Activity that we have. We think you see. We think you see.
What is this? How do I accept that?
Bloomberg Radio.
Bro. am I supposed to interact with this? Oh, right-click source, interact. Oh my god.
De autoverzekering van Inshared is als beste getest door de Consumentenbond. Check inshared.nl.
Strong, the labor market is strong, inflation has come way down, and that gives us the ability and feel more confident that inflation is moving down sustainably at 2% when we take that step to begin dialing back our restrictive policy.
Well, you've talked about the desire to have confidence that inflation is continually moving down. Has the recent numbers we've gotten for inflation data dented that confidence at all?
It certainly hasn't improved our confidence. It hasn't raised anyone's confidence. But I would say that the story is really essentially the same, and that is of inflation coming down gradually toward 2% on a sometimes bumpy path, as I mentioned. I think that's what you still see. We've got 9 months of 2.5% inflation now. We've had 2 months of kind of bumpy inflation. We were saying that it's going to be a bumpy ride. We consistently said that. Now here are some bumps, and the question is, are they more than bumps? And we can't know that. That's why we are approaching this question carefully. It is very important for everyone that we serve that we do get inflation sustainably down. And I think the historical record, every situation is different, but the historical record is that you need to approach that question carefully and try to get it right the first time and not have to come back and raise rates again, perhaps, if you cut inappropriately, prematurely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Edward Lawrence with Fox Business. I wanted to ask you, you received a letter from, the Federal Reserve, for an independent body, understanding Congress has oversight over that. You received a letter from Senators Elizabeth Warren and Sheldon Whitehouse that said, calling on you to lower interest rates, to cut interest rates, because it says, quote, the potential that it may remain too high for too long has halted advances in deploying renewable energy technologies and delayed significant climate and economic benefits from these projects. So has higher interest rates caused that?
Have they? Well, first of all, I respect in our system of government, it is Congress that has oversight responsibility over the Fed. We place a tremendous amount of importance on our engagements with Congress and always treat them with great respect. In this case, I would say those are, our mandate. Our mandate is for maximum employment and price stability, and the other things that we do, and that's what we're trying to accomplish. We're trying to do that in a way that sustains the strong growth we're seeing, the strong labor market we're seeing, but allows us to make further progress with inflation. That's how we can best serve the public and leave the other issues, which in many cases are incredibly important, such as those you mentioned, leave those to the people who have responsibility for those.
There was another letter from 24 lawmakers saying that the higher rates are squeezing the working people. How do these letters affect what you guys are doing policy-wise?
We receive these letters with respect, and we write careful responses and address concerns. We listen, again, because we're talking to the people who in our system of government have oversight over our activity. So but at the end of the day, we take that on board, but we have to make our judgments and we have to stick to our knitting, which is maximum employment, price stability, supervise and regulate the banks, work on the payment system, the things that we do.
Claire Jones, Financial Times. Thanks a lot for the opportunity to ask a question. As chair of the FOMC, would you want to see unanimity on the committee or something close to it, meaning no more than one dissent before you begin cutting rates?
All right, so we're still going higher.
We're very consensus-oriented.
Or could be reaching for
organization, and we do try to achieve.
Well, that really just depends on what else he's gonna say.
People
but
do dissent. It's something that happens. Life goes on, and it's not a problem. We've always had dissents, but and so
We
I
could be
very
reaching for the liquidity
respect
above there.
thoughtful dissent
There's low
very
resistance
much.
liquidity on NQ. At
So
ES we are already at
you may not
all-time
agree
highs.
with
Let's see what
some
we're doing
arguments,
on
but you really want to
DXY.
understand them. So you may read a book that takes a position that you
DXY we're
have
really
long
bumping
opposed
lower.
just to understand that book. So I treat dissents with real respect as well.
Looks really good actually. So DXY is here. So on DXY we do have that PPR here.
Okay, great. Obviously, inflation is some ways
if
away
we
from
inverse this here,
target. Unemployment, though, if you look at the projection for the
there.
full year, 4.0%.
We swap the equal lows here. We do have equal lows beneath here, so in DXY that's definitely where we want to go here.
Are you concerned at all?
So these two equal lows. Let's see if we continue to go through those equal lows, or if we want to respect those, because this is beneath or around equilibrium, if I say so. Yeah. So equilibrium is right there. The equal lows are right there with the with equilibrium, and then we have a BPR here. So that would be here.
I don't see those cracks.
So this inversion
Follow all the possible stories that are out there about
would actually be
about there being
BPR,
cracks, but
because we
the
have
overall
a
picture
sell side
really
imbalance,
is
buy side inefficiency
strong labor
here.
market,
Then we have a buy side imbalance, sell
extreme
side inefficiency
imbalances
here.
that we saw in the
So
early,
SIBI and a BISI overlapping with each other. If we inverse this, then I would expect this market maker sell model to finish, which is, let's remove this equilibrium, which is smart market reversal from here. So we have the original accumulation 1, accumulation 2, accumulation 3, smart money reversal, accumulation 1, go lower. This is the second stage distribution, or that would be right here actually. And from here we would go all the way lower, but we're just now in a point where we could go higher or we could go lower.
Surveys of workers and businesses are always interesting on this. You know, how tight is how easy is it to find a job? How easy it is to find a worker? Those surveys have both come down. So the labor market's in good shape. You know, you do see things like the low hiring rate, and people have made the argument that if layoffs were to increase, that would mean that the net would be fairly quick increases in unemployment. So that's something we're watching, but we're not seeing it. Of course, initial claims are very, very low, and if anything, have tracked down a little bit. So watching it carefully, don't see it. And when I say
yeah, we're just still going up.
I use the term unexpected weakening in the labor market.
Set an alert on DXY when we do take out these equal lows here, because that's where we're reaching for. So I would expect bullish prices until we reach that there, because then we would get like a consolidation, or we trade through those. But
we're talking about something that's unexpected.
Definitely a consolidation for a couple of minutes. Let's keep that there.
Steve Matthews with Bloomberg. You mentioned at the beginning of the press conference that the committee felt it might be appropriate to slow the pace of asset runoff fairly soon.
So swing low, swing high, singular busy.
Fairly soon.
See what we do with this here.
The committee would meet about this again in May, and a decision could be reached that soon. And I was wondering if you could also just describe the scope of what the committee is discussing here. You're at $95 billion of caps right now. Would that be cut about in half or something in that nature? Thank you.
So that is what we're discussing. Essentially, is and we're not discussing many other balance sheet issues. We will discuss those in due course. But what we're really looking at is slowing the pace of runoff. There isn't much runoff among MBS right now, but there is in treasuries, and we're talking about going to a lower pace. I don't want to give you a specific number because we haven't had an agreement or a decision, but that's the idea, and that's what we're looking at. And in terms of the timing, I said fairly soon. I wouldn't want to try to be more specific than that, but you get the idea. The idea is, and this is in our longer run plans, that we may actually be able to get to a lower level because we would avoid the kind of frictions that can happen. Liquidity is not evenly distributed in the system, and there can be times when, in the aggregate, reserves are ample or even abundant, but not in every part. And those parts where they're not ample, there can be stress, and that can cause you to prematurely stop the process to avoid the stress, and then it would be very hard to restart, we think. So something like that happened in 19, perhaps. So So that's what we're doing. We're looking at what would be a good time and what would be a good structure. And, fairly soon is words that we use to mean fairly soon.
And will there be a discussion about returning to an all treasuries balance sheet at some point?
So that our longer run goal is to return to a balance sheet that is mostly treasuries. I do expect that once we're through this, we'll come back to the other issues about the composition and the maturity, and revisit those issues. But it's not urgent right now. We want to get this decision made first, and then we can, when the time is right, come back to the other issues.
So there's going to be no trading.
Also on the balance sheet,
We're outside of my kill zone.
Can you talk a little bit about how the outlook for the banking sector might impact your balance sheet plans? Do you worry that as deposits start to shrink that we could see more turbulence?
Do you still have that last macro?
We'll be watching carefully, but one of the reasons we're slowing down, we will soon enough, fairly soon I should say, slow down, is that we want to avoid any kind of turbulence. I wasn't thinking particularly about banking sector turbulence, but we had some indicators the last time. This is our second time in doing this, and I think we're going to be paying a lot of attention to.
So we're going for that buy side liquidity up there.
Started to happen, and that foreshadowed what eventually happened at the end of that tightening cycle, where we wound
See what we do with this
short
here.
reserve situation, and we don't want to do that again. And I think now we have a better sense of what are the indicators. It wasn't so much in the banking system as it was around, for example, where federal funds is trading relative to the administered rates, and where secured rates are relative to the administered rates. Those sorts of things. We will always be watching the banking system for similar signs, though.
Well, is it also because you're not sure exactly how the reserve supply will react once the overnight reverse repo facility, drops nearer at zero?
I think we broadly think that once the overnight repo stabilizes either at zero or close to zero, that as the balance sheet shrinks, we should expect that reserves will decline pretty close to dollar for dollar with that. That's what we think.
Hi, Chair Powell. Jean Young with M&I Market News. I wanted to ask also about the balance sheet. Will you said that starting the taper sooner
Such a get-rich-quick scheme nowadays to where everyone wants to get into trading.
Does that mean you don't have to make a decision on when to end QT at this point? And will you be setting up the process for deciding that sooner, or will you wait until we're close to the end?
So
we did tap inside of this 1 minute bis here.
Slower, you can get farther. But that's
only entry that we could have here is, I'm not tracing price, but the only entry that we could have is when we take out a swing low here. So I want to see this as a swing low.
Kind of liquidity problem.
We turtle soup this here, and then we get like an entry above here. So we get like a turtle soup here. When it's a swing low, we get a turtle soup. Maybe we can get an inversion. From there we could get an inversion and then into buy side liquidity. But I'm not chasing price really.
What they're telling us about reserves, are they right now we would characterize them as abundant, and what we're aiming for is ample, and which is a little bit less than abundant, right? So there isn't there's not a dollar amount or a percent of GDP or anything like that where we think we have a really pretty clear understanding of that. We're going to be looking at what these what's happening in money markets.
Let's make Powell bigger, actually.
In particular, a bunch of different indicators, including the ones I mentioned, to tell us when we're getting close. Then, though, you reach a point ultimately where you stop allowing the balance sheet to run off, but then from that point, there's another period in which non-reserve liabilities grow organically, like currency, and that also shrinks the reserves at a very slow pace. So you have a slower pace of runoff, which we'll have fairly soon. Then you have another time where you effectively hold the balance sheet constant and allow non-reserve liabilities to expand. And then,
so see
and that
here,
ultimately
if you have a turtle soup here,
in for, brings it into a nice easy landing at a level that is above above what we think the lowest possible ample number would be. We're not trying for that. We want to have a cushion, a buffer, because we know that demand for reserves can be very volatile. And we don't want to, again, find ourselves in a situation where there aren't reserves. We have to turn around and buy assets and put reserves back in the banking system the way we did in 2019-20.
Hi, Nancy Marshall-Genzer with Marketplace. Chair Powell, you said you're waiting to become more confident that inflation is getting to your 2% goal before you cut rates. Can you just sum up more specifically what data you're looking at that would give you that confidence?
Sure. So most importantly, we're looking at the incoming inflation data and the contents of it and what they're telling us. So that'll be, and also the various components. So obviously that's what we want. We want more confidence that inflation is coming down sustainably toward 2%. And I mean, of course, we'll also be looking at all the other things that are happening in the economy. We'll look at the totality of the data, including everything essentially, as we make that assessment. But the most important thing will be the inflation data coming in.
Well, are there things that you would give more weight to, like wages?
Wages is one thing. We don't. Our target is not wages. It's really inflation. But we would look to the fact that wages are still coming in very strong, but they've been wage increases. That is to say, wage increases have been quite strong, but they're gradually coming down to levels that are more sustainable over time, and that's what we want. We don't think that the inflation was not originally caused. Mostly by wages. That wasn't really the story.
If this was a turtle soup, then you get like a closure buff right away here.
We'd like to see, continuing gradual movement of wage increases at still high levels, but back down to levels that are more sustainable over time.
Thank you. Greg Robb from MarketWatch. Chair Powell, could you say at this meeting whether there were more officials who wanted to be careful and go slower about rates than were at the last meeting? Was there that sense of maybe it's smart to wait? Thanks.
I guess I'd put it this way. If you look at the incoming inflation data that we've had for January and February, I think very broadly that suggests that we were right to wait until we're more confident. So I think I didn't hear anyone dismissing it as not information that we should look at or anything like that. So I think generally speaking, it does go in the direction of saying yes, it's appropriate for us to be careful as we approach this question.
No turtle soup there.
Brendan Peterson with Punchbowl News. I wanted to ask you about central bank digital currency stuff. We've been hearing a lot from Republicans in Congress about what the Fed is or isn't doing in a digital dollar. But I know you have said to Congress that you are going to wait for approval before the Fed does anything, launches anything. But folks like House Majority Whip Tom Emmer have said that the Fed is either actively researching or hiring personnel to study the implications of a CBDC. Can you give us any clarity on what the Fed is doing right now on a digital dollar?
Sure. So I think we've been pretty transparent.
You have all this low resistance liquidity here.
I'll try harder. So we are not getting ready to. We haven't proposed. We haven't come to a conclusion that we should propose, or anything like that. That Congress consider legislation to authorize a digital dollar. And it would take legislation by Congress signed by the President to give us the ability to do what we think of as a CBDC.
Wait, what just happened?
Did.
What just happened? Wait, what? What just happened?
30 years ago. 30 years ago.
What the hell? What just happened? What?
With the public of it. So we're just a long way from that. What we are doing, and I think what every major central bank is doing, away from that. What we are doing, and I think what every major central bank is doing. So we ready to we haven't proposed, we haven't come to a conclusion that we should propose or anything like that, that Congress consider legislation to authorize a digital dollar.
So do you have to be here?
Legislation by Congress signed by the president to give us the ability to do what we think of as a CBD.
What was happening? What the hell? Fuck them.
And so we went from desperately in need of doing at this moment. We're very transparent. We have no shortage of FOMC participants speaking to the public through the media. And so that channel is full, I would say. So I think it's generally broadly helped and made things better, but not every day and in every way.
Well, to follow up, has there ever been a day where you wanted to put that genie back in the bottle somewhat?
Of course not.
Let's go to Jennifer for the last question.
All right.
Thank you, Chair Powell. Jennifer.
So we went above that to be there again.
Not to harp too much more on confidence and inflation, but she did say earlier in this press conference that the recent inflation data hasn't raised anyone's confidence. But when you testified before the Senate a couple weeks ago, you told lawmakers that you are, quote, not far from receiving the confidence needed for inflation to begin cutting rates. So are you still of that belief or not? What are we to take by those words, not far?
So let me say my main message at that in those 2 days of hearings was really that the committee needs to see more evidence to build our confidence that inflation is moving down sustainably toward our 2% goal. And we don't expect that it will be appropriate to begin to reduce rates until we're more confident that that is the case. I said that any number of times, so those were kind of the main part of the message. We repeated that today in our statement. I also, to the language you mentioned, I really pointed out that we had made significant progress over the past year, and what we're looking for now is confirmation that that progress will continue. We had a series of inflation readings over the second half of last year that were really much lower. We didn't overreact, as I mentioned, but that's what I had in mind.
But given that you said that PCE for February 2.8%, the estimate, and that we have been seeing core PCE coming down by 10% every month, I mean, wouldn't you be at about 2.4% this summer, June, July, to a point where you could cut then?
Well, we'll just have to see how the data come in. We would, of course, love to get great inflation data. We got really good inflation data in the second part of last year. Again, we didn't overreact to it. We said we needed to see more, and we said it would be bumpy. And now we have January and February, which I've talked about a couple of times. So, we're looking for more good data, and we would certainly welcome it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that was it. That was it. All right. All right. That was it. So I think we're reaching for that buy side liquidity up there. You have a breaker here. High, low, higher, high, lower, low. Standard deviation of that breaker. -2, -2.5. I think we're reaching for that liquidity up there. Nothing crazy really, I think. One standard deviation there. See what we do with this. Still have this BPR here. Guessing you're busy here. See if he can get a nice setup here. What? What? Target is 10, 15. Target is 10? How is that? That isn't even the same color. Where is it? Oh, I think it is. $15 and it's the 6. So 3, 6. Alright. Alright, see what we do here. Yeah, we're outside of kill zone, so really no point in trading, actually. Just waiting for that target get hit. Yeah, looks like we're just consolidating.
So dollar's selling off, hitting that weekly fair value gap. That's on the weekly chart, hitting it on the high end, or hitting it on the low end actually as resistance. And selling off, working its way into lower lows. So as we start to make lower lows on dollar, then I would expect that to translate into higher highs on indices. Right, so we're in 330.
Market is slowing down here. We have another busy there. Don't really doing anything right now.
There goes dollar making lower lows, washing out into its respective sell side. So lower lows on dollar.
Let's look at what the dollar is doing. Alright, so DXY is almost at those equal lows, which I wanted to see that. You have a breaker with this now, so we have a high, low, higher high, lower low. Unicorn inside of here. That is the only busy, or CB, sorry. Alright, so let's put a standard deviation on here. A to B leg standard deviation. -2, -5 comes beneath that sell side liquidity. B to C leg standard deviation. Don't really like that. Like this standard deviation better. So we're just reaching lower, so that means we're going higher on indices, and we're just reaching for the liquidity on the indices, which was this higher. On NQ, on ES we don't have any more liquidity because we're at all-time highs, but on NQ we do have this low resistance liquidity, and then this buy side liquidity up there would be the market maker buy model original consolidation. This is just low resistance liquidity as well, but I would call this the market maker buy model from here. Original consolidation, consolidation 1, consolidation 2, smart money reversal, deep retracement, low risk buy there. Going higher, then I would want to see market tap in there, but we didn't get it, so that means that we want to go there for in the future, or do we want to go there in the future because we have all this liquidity we need there. So we just have all generated sell side liquidity, so that means higher dollar in the future, and I'm talking about like could be even be this week, could be next week, but that would mean lower dollar. Higher dollar, my bad. So yeah, where could we go here on dollar? Well, we do have this PPR here. So we have the busy here, inside of there as well. So this was a SIBI, that was a busy PPR inside of here. On dollar also, we created a lot of equal lows there, but we already swept those. So this could be original consolidation for like later in the future, way later. Because I think on dollar we want to go higher. You're already tapped inside of equilibrium of this range, which is right there. So that's already balanced. And off of that equilibrium reaction, we got that BPR here. So that would mean that we tap inside of here on dollar. From there would go higher, so that would mean lower prices on the indices. And how far can we go on dollar? First here, then we have buy side liquidity above here, value swings above here, so this is a failure swing to this high here. If you look at like this here, or maybe like a weekly, no, a daily. So look at this like a daily. So we have a swing high here, failed swing high, relative equal high. So there are buy stops above there. Can I get that? And then we have a rejection block off here. Alright, so we have relative equal highs here. There, your relative equal highs there. Or this is this will remain for later. So maybe we inverse this PPR, could happen. Then we'd go all the way lower, finish this market maker stall model. Then we would go here, here, here even, here and there. But we're now just basically inside of equilibrium. And we don't really have a clear vision of where we want to go. So it's just the waiting game really. So yeah, we'll just wait. But yeah, I think we do want to go lower, so that would mean higher on dollar, because we already took the high here on ES. We would have a nice S&T here then, but then we would have to see market slow down off of the minus 3.5 and minus 4 standard deviation. We would need to see market slow down, because if we do go higher, then of course lower dollar then. But we're now reaching for those equal highs in my opinion. So let's see what we do. Do have a busy here. See what we do with that busy. So let's mark it out. We actually have 2 here, so then I look for a singular one. Swing low to swing high. Singular busy. Let's see what we do with this one. See what we do with dollar. I don't care about ES really here. Alright, so dollar. Sibby here, Sibby there. Look for a singular one. Sibby here, Sibby there. Look for a singular one. Sibby here, the only one. That would be the unicorn. Breaker block. High, low, higher high, lower low. This candle is actually a breaker block, even though it isn't a down close candle. I don't care. It's a breaker block. That's our breaker. Or actually, this entire thing is our breaker, but lowest down close candle. So you could just, doesn't really matter actually. ICT says lowest down close candle. Well, then we use this as our breaker. But I don't really care about this because this unicorn, that's where the entry would be. But yeah, this is your breaker then. Unicorn. I look for unicorn equilibrium. This is UE, unicorn equilibrium. And then this is just standard equilibrium. Let's see what we tap here. If you do want to tap anything. But I never enter off of a unicorn straight off of here, because the risk reward would be terrible. Don't even want to have my stop above there. Most of the time my stop's above there or something. Yeah, now the risk reward is fine, 1 to 2. If I enter off of equilibrium. Unicorn equilibrium, 2.75 R. Even regular equilibrium would be even better, but that isn't guaranteed. This also isn't guaranteed, but the probability is way higher. Backtest it yourself. We did close below here on this busy here. Let's see if we have anything else. Alright, so if we do want to go lower, then I would expect this leg here. Then we have a singular busy here, which would be only 4 minutes. So then I would expect price to come in here. There, busy there. I don't care about any of this. If this doesn't hold, we go here. But yeah, if we do hold it, of course, then it's even better. See what we do with this. DXY. DXY should go lower then. Thank you reacting there. Last macro right now. Or not right now. Oh, wait. It is right now, I think. 15:30 to what is it? 15:15 to 15:45 or so, or still inside of that macro. Don't know why it isn't showing up here. Yeah, no idea. Yeah, no idea why it isn't showing up. Oh, I think, yeah, time, alright, it should all be at a different time now, actually. Oh yeah, this has to be enabled. Yeah, there it is. Wait, daylight on. Oh yeah. Alright. So yeah, last macro there. Yeah, I think we do just consolidate inside of here. We'll just wait until 45 and then we'll close the day. Then we had taken one loss today and one break-even trade. So totally fine day. Didn't lose anything crazy. Lost like $120, $128. So that's totally fine. That isn't really that big. Yeah, so we're going lower. Yeah, I would expect here the busy there. But I do think we want to revisit this later, actually. -2, -2.5. Somewhere to that busy. Go way lower. Yeah, I don't care about any other busy here. Only the busy here. Only 4 minutes. So swing low to swing high. So drawn liquidity is this busy here. We'll just wait 3 more minutes. And dollar. My drawn liquidity on dollar is unicorn equilibrium there. And it's still singular. Sibi only 4 minutes. A, B, C, dissipate D, A to B extended deviation. Alright, so we have nothing here. Doesn't matter, we're just gonna consolidate probably. But we'll wait.
You know, and having that in mind is going to help you measure your results and help you stay motivated.
Do this, guys.
Bitcoin is.
Do this, guys. Everyone watching right now, go to your Bitcoin wallet, take a look at it, a hard, long look, and ask yourself, do I have enough Bitcoin? The answer is always no.
Yes.
Do this, guys.
Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Johnny. I'm back with another one. In today's video, this one's gonna be a little bit different. This is gonna be like a no edit type of, no fluff, no bullshit type of video. I'm sorry if you guys hear my bulldog. She's like right beside me. You'll probably hear like snoring or some shit. But anyways, I want to touch on a topic that I touched on a little bit in the podcast that I was just recently on. It was a podcast with Arbaz. I just posted it on my channel, so if you guys have seen that, you guys will know what I'm gonna.
Yeah, going lower. Really don't care. It's 45, 46 I'll end stream. And I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow, unemployment claims, PMI 945. So after 945, it's good to trade. I'll just keep this on here. We'll see what Asian and London session does. I think we do want to take out the buy side equity there. From there, I would actually want to see lower prices. Or we can go all the way higher. I really don't know. Overnight session will show. Let's see what we're doing on. Yes, could go higher. We'll see what happens. Yeah, it's 46. See you guys tomorrow.